One of the things that grinds my gears are when things are called historic when they actually aren't that historic at all. You see, D-Day, that was historic. Pearl Harbor, that was historic. The fall of the Berlin Wall, that was historic. And Captain Marvel is not historic. And when you say that things like that are historic, it shows that you have no real conception of what history is really about. Because we won't be talking about Brie Larson's Captain Marvel 200 years from now as some sort of seminal point in human history. Instead, we'll be talking about other things, like World War II, World War One, the fall of the Roman Empire. And if anything, Marvel diehards will talk about Captain Marvel as the beginning of the end of even the things that they loved about Marvel soon enough. So here we are right now. We have another beautifully written article. And I say beautifully with sarcasm in my voice. Captain Marvel comic found a clever way to fight Brie Larson's movie trolls. I will tell you right off the bat, one way that they did not figure out how to fight Brie Larson's movie trolls is by selling comic books. Not Brie Larson's comic, but Captain Marvel comic is not a bestseller, as it were. Last year, Marvel Studios made history by making its first movie starring a female lead in Captain Marvel. Here we go. Made history. History. Woo! We're going to be opening our books in school one day, and chapter 13 will be all about how Captain Marvel changed the world, made it a better place for you and for me. The blockbuster starring Oscar winner Brie Larson was a huge hit among fans as the movie introduced the hero behind the backdrop of Los Angeles in the 90s. This is revisionist history. A huge hit among fans? I don't know. Most people that I talk to about it, as far as real life and even online, believe that the movie was mediocre at best. It wasn't a horrible movie like some people would have thought it would be, looking at some of that, but it wasn't a great movie either. It was not even in the top 10 Marvel movies. But ahead of the film's release, the superhero flick wasn't exactly met with open arms thanks to online trolls, or thanks to people that thought the movie was including, I know, a lot of critics that believe that the movie was and some of these critics were paid. They were paid to give it better reviews than what it actually deserved. A recent appearance of Carol Danvers and Jason Aaron and Ed McGuinness's Avengers number 29 has a subtle callback to the 2019 controversy. Check it out below. Let's see. Can I make this a little bit bigger for you guys here? Let's see. Let's exit full screen. Here we go. And let's go 150, 200%. All right. Of course, it goes to the ad. So here we go here. Garg, stand down, Avenger. You are outside your depths here and your heat tolerance. Sure thing. Why don't you tell me to smile more while you're at it, Firelord? Actually, that wouldn't be such a bad... This is... This is how they attack the online trolls? How fucking weak is that? How weak is that? Here's what she said to the Herald of Galactus as she's gathered her energy up. Sure thing. Why don't you tell me to smile more while you're at it, Firelord? Brie Larson's memorable clap back at her haters by reposting a series of Photoshop images of male MCU heroes with shiny smiles on their faces instead of brooding stares with such as hers. It made a great point about the double standards often brought up upon women to always look happy and therefore take a look. I will never forget the time Brie Larson posted Photoshop posters of male Captain Marvel characters smiling. Again, they fucking missed the point. First off, in the actual movie itself, if you watch the movie and not just in the posters, this guy is freaking hilarious. His comebacks are amazing. This guy does spend a lot of time brooding, but he has some good moments, and he does smile in that movie a lot. And Benedict Arnold in Benedict Arnold. Benedict Cumberbatch in Doctor Strange, he also had some witty banter and everything like that. These guys played the characters with a lot of interesting nuance that she just didn't play the character. She played it like she was a fucking piece of wood on, and she expects for people just to like it. You know, this is the whole thing about when it comes to these SJWs and taking criticism. They can't internalize positive criticism, and they always have to take it and make it into some sort of sexist or racist or put some sort of agenda on it, when 99% of the people out there are not really, they're not saying it that way. They're saying it in a way to try to be positive, because that's my real belief, is that most people do want to be positive. It's just that we live in a society where so many people hear the same thing that even the smallest minority can be super negative. But then you come out with shit like this, and it makes the people that aren't positive, that were positive, or were trying to give you some constructive criticism, and you make them say, fuck you, you piece of shit. You fucking dumb little fucking SJW piece of shit. Like, that's what they say. Not what I say. That's what they say. So then what ends up happening is that you start turning those people against you, and then you create the very thing that you're railing against. You create it. You become the Frankenstein, creating the monster. And then you have pieces of shit like this that write these articles just for these clickbaits. And you know what? Maybe I'm one of the guys that helped them out, because I click on the article and make videos about them, right? So maybe I'm an asshole. The Smile More line was also a part of the Captain Marvel movie. Fuck you, I'm not an asshole. Don't ever say that shit. The Smile More line was also part of the Captain Marvel movie itself, in a scene where Carol Danvers comes across a stranger who lays the comments on her before she nabs her motorcycle for her escape. Following comments from Brie Larson calling for a more inclusive press tour, people online tore down Captain Marvel's Want to See score, because that's what that was there for. You know what I mean? Like, the Want to See score was there for people to express whether or not they wanted to see the movie. And if a shit ton of people said, nah, we don't want to see the movie, these are the people that would be the diehard fans, the ones that would go on a Rotten Tomatoes page before the movie's even out. That's what this is geared for. Those people didn't want to see it. They didn't want to see it. And then Rotten Tomatoes couldn't accept that fact, and so they changed the entire fucking website just to get rid of that. Within the same week, Rotten Tomatoes changed their policies but claimed it wasn't because of the Marvel release, so they lied. Not to mention the viral complaints against Larson's Carol Danvers not smiling in the promotional images and trailer ahead of its spring release. That is complete and total bullshit. Bullshit. There was none of that. The numbers certainly showed those trolls, because Captain Marvel was the 5th highest grossing movie of 2019. It absolutely did not show the online trolls anything, because number one, there wasn't really that many online trolls. And number two, it was fucking going into, they made it seem like that movie was necessary to Avengers Endgame. Like, it was Avengers Infinity War 1.5. You know, like, you had to watch it. And so a lot of people went into that movie actually thinking that this is a movie that would lead into Avengers Endgame. Sadly disappointed by the fact that it was But someone actually edited footage to leave out many of the women in the movie. Looks like there's an uneven mindset out there concerning male and female dynamics. Okay. The movie led into Avengers Endgame. That was the whole thing too. The movie did not lead into Avengers Endgame. You could have done without that movie completely, and it would still. You could have walked into Avengers Endgame with anything. That was Disney marketing at its max, and that was Disney wasting our fucking time. Really, really. Because what did we get from that? A bastardization of where the name Avengers came from, and also a retcon of how Sam Jackson's Nick Fury gets his scar, which makes it completely stupid. It was dumb. It was an unnecessary movie with an unnecessary character to set up an unnecessary agenda for an unnecessary... It was completely unnecessary. But someone actually edited the footage to leave out many of the women in the movie. Looks like you could have edited out some of the women from Avengers Endgame without any sort of real detriment to the story of what was going on. But, you know, I don't think the edited footage, you know, one person can do something and a bunch of people can watch it. Doesn't mean that they co-sign on it. It just means that it is what it is. One guy did it and a bunch of people watched it. That's just how it goes. You know, there's some people out there that watch mob movies, right? They like mob movies, but they don't fucking walk out of the house and all of a sudden they want to become mobsters. You know, they don't walk out of the house and they don't go to the local fucking pizzeria and say, hey, where's Frank Castellano? You know? Fuck, dude. But that's not how these people live, because these people right here, these SJW clowns out here, they are living in this fantasy world where they're fighting this good fight for these causes that don't fucking exist. But they just don't. You know, is there sexism in the world? I'm sure, absolutely. There's sexism, there's racism, there's narcissism. But there's a much, much, much greater propensity to narcissism within the SJW community that's leading to the growth of more sexism and more racism in the world. It is, because they're forcing people into positions and views that make them uncomfortable with all this nonsense, because they're forcing people to choose sides. And it's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. But it's a more broad thing right there. We're here to talk about the vaporware that is Brie Larson. and she's become the poster child for this, because she is one of the most empty, and she's just, if you could make a logo for an empty, meaningless cause, Brie Larson would be the face of that logo. Because that's exactly what she is. She's exactly that. Her acting skills are mediocre at best. She fell into a very, very good situation when it came with Captain Marvel, and Captain Marvel fell in a really good slot. And it's fantastic, but let's treat this movie exactly the way that it was. It wasn't historical. It wasn't meaningful to the greater existence of mankind. It was a movie. And it was a movie that wasn't that great. So, if we could just leave it like that and we can move forward, maybe you could do better on Captain Marvel 2, and maybe you could make $2 billion instead of making $1 billion, and that'll be awesome for you. Not for me, but for you. So, listen, guys, if you like the content on this channel, please like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to leave a comment down below. And that's about it, man. I will catch you guys later.